Hello everyone, welcome back to Nagash, which is of course a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar. And in this video, we're not going to be talking about dragons. I know, what a change from the usual content. But we are going to be talking about another flying creature, and this one belongs to the Kruleboyz. So, is it cooler than the dragons? That's up to you guys to decide. So what they've shown us in this article, this new article just came up today. I'm going to read through it with you guys just now. And what they've said in this one is basically just telling us all about Gobsprakk, I think that's how it's pronounced, who is the mouth of Mork, if I remember that right now. So basically what that's going to be is the character on the vulture type creature that we saw a few weeks ago come out, and they've shown us quite a few rules in this article. So always let me know down below or in the chat what you guys think about what they've shown us today. And with that aside, let's get on with it. And if you do enjoy the video, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and smash that bell button. So it starts by saying, Gobsprakk uses swampy magic, bad smells, and a screaming plant to dominate the battlefield. I mean, it would seem unusual, wouldn't it? But for an orc, it's pretty standard. So, the Kruleboyz have been terrorising the mortal realms for a while now. But with reinforcements on the way, things are about to get a lot swampier around these parts. With a new Uruk Warclans Battletome on the horizon, all three Uruk sub-factions are feeling the power of Gork and Mork surge through them. But it's the Kruleboyz who really benefit. To make matters worse for the enemies of destruction, the most powerful swamp caller shaman, Gobsprakk, the voice of Mork, voice, close, I said mouth, is about to join their ranks. So of course this is the one we're seeing. I think it's an absolutely fantastic model. I think it's stunning. It will be something that I buy at some point in the future, but when will that happen? I've still got all my Kruleboyz from Dominion to build and paint, apart from the killer boss I did the other day. So it'll be a little while for me, but absolutely fantastic. So it goes on to say that with an arcane gift for languages, yep, here's a linguist. So Gobsprakk acts as a translator for Kragnus, the end of empires. As this shaman also claims to speak for Mork, he has a direct line to two gods of destruction, allegedly. So obviously, he probably just makes it up. Along with his ability to befriend those in high places, the mouth of Mork is also fairly tasty on the tabletop. Gobsprakk prefers to control the flow of battle with his cunning magical tricks rather than using raw power and huge choppers. Apologies, I'm getting my orc language wrong there. So we've already taken a peek at how painful his Mork says no ability can be to enemy wizards, but the self-declared mouth of Mork has plenty of other dirty tricks up his sleeve. He is accompanied into battle by his grot attendant, Wrinklefinger, brilliant, who has a secret weapon of his own, a screaming manned Drac. While it may look harmless, this root yelps so loudly when it's squeezed that it puts enemy casters right off their game. It combines very nicely indeed with Mork says no, and exploding spell slingers might be a common feature for Gobsprakk battles. That's great, and I think there's a lot of magic happening out there. Age of Sigmar, there's been a lot of magic for a while now. It's not like all third editions came. Now magic's the thing. There's been a lot of magic for a while, and I really feel like there are armies that dominate the magic phase, and then the armies that just have like a couple of like one cast wizards and stuff, I really struggle to deal with heavy magic armies because all their spells will be shut down, and then the heavy magic armies will get all their spells off. So something like this into the game, I think it's good rather than bad in the sense of you need to try and shut those heavy magic casting armies down. And if you're an army that had, just like a couple of spells or something you could cast a turn, no bonuses or anything like that, you probably weren't going to get your spells off most of the time anyway. So this guy, making sure you definitely don't, isn't going to be too much of an inconvenience because I don't think you're relying on it too much. But anyway, so it says Screaming Mandrank. So Wrinklefinger carries with him a hideous root that emits a shrill cry when squeezed or pinched. The awful sound wreaks havoc on the concentration of enemy wizards who are trying to cast spells. Now you may be wondering why I'm reading the lore here. I think with Oryx it's very important because that is key and very thought out. What it does is once per battle, when this unit attempts to unbind a spell, you can say that it is using the Screaming Mandrak. If you do so, the unbinding roll for the attempt is made with a 3d6 instead of a 2d6. So I'd say, well, that's really good now, but they literally have it just down below, and the Mork says no ability. So we'll just read that and it'll explain itself. So Gobsprakk takes particular pride in hunting down enemy wizards to add their grisly remains to his trophy rack. As they foolishly attempt to weave their magics, he summons tapeworm squigs into their guts and fills their mind with so much war energy that they sometimes explode. So if you didn't read this bit, you wouldn't know how he does the mortal wound. So that was just worth reading on its own. So each time this unit unbinds a spell, the caster suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the spell was unbound with an unbinding roll of a 10+, the caster suffers D6 mortal wounds instead. Right, so I'm pretty sure the average on 3 dice is 11. I'm pretty sure on 3d6, you know, at least it's a 4, but at least it's a 10, and we're presuming if you get the good average on the third dice, it will be an 11 on the average, which is a 10+, isn't it? And then that means D6 mortal wounds for when you do that unbind. But I'm just remember it's once per battle, it's not once per turn you can do it, so you can't spam it if you like throughout the game, but that one time it could just it really could prevent an enemy just casting a spell, because I'm going to cast Mystic Shield. Oh, do you really want to? Because this could happen. It might stop them. And yeah, sure, the enemy's not going to take the D6 mortal wounds from this, but then it means they're not going to get that +1 to save, which could have really helped them down the line, maybe if they didn't have like a command point for all-out defense, etc. So yeah, that pairs really nicely. And then going on to the next thing, it says continuing on to the Century Overload theme is a Gobsprakk summoning Boggy Mist ability. So a spell that stinks the whole battlefield up so badly that enemies lose the will to charge. Summon Boggy Mist, so raising their hands with Guddle Belch, the Swamp Caller transmutes the ground into a marshland. As they do so, thick and foul-smelling swamp mists smother the field, distracting enemies and aiding the Kruleboyz in a stealthy advance. So this is exactly the same Summon Boggy Mist we have for a normal Swamp Caller afoot. So the Summon Boggy Mist is a spell that has a casting value of 7. It's successfully cast until your next hero phase. Add 1 to charge rolls for Kruleboy or units on the battlefield, and subtract 1 for charge rolls for other units on the battlefield. So what do I think about it being the same spell as the normal Swamp Caller guy on foot who you got from the Dominion box set? I think the good thing about it is that it means that maybe you're not going to want to bring, or feel like you have to bring, a Swamp Caller Shaman if you've got this guy in your army. Or it's sort of like, oh, this guy's good, but I really like this spell from the Swamp Caller Shaman, so there's not really that conflict. But because the Swamp Caller Shaman also has a ability which is really good, that allows you to do your whole 6s, do mortal wounds to hit against the enemy because they're poison weapons, and it can happen on 5s, and then there's, I think, a more defensive ability you can give as well from like the Pokrot. You're still going to want to take a normal Swamp Caller Shaman for those bonuses. So there is that negative where it's like, oh, I'm going to want to take him anyway. But then the other flip side is that for him to be able to use the Pokrot, he can't cast this spell as far as I remember. So then you've got this guy casting the spell. So if you want to fill your whole Kruleboyz army with shamans and everything else, then here you go, and I think it will work out quite nicely. So there's a little bit of like a up and down of, oh, is it worth it? Is it good? It's the same. But I think overall, it's not really too much of a problem, and it might actually be a good thing. So, but they do like make him really sound like, oh, he can summon this a really amazing mist. They all can. So how is it unique? Which is a little bit sad. You know, you think maybe add 2 to the charge rolls and -2 to the enemy charge rolls. Maybe that's too powerful. But you know, P is meant to be the best shaman, isn't he? So you would hope so. But anyway, so Gobsprakk also has access to the Kruleboyz specific spell lords, Law of the Swamp, and can cast 2 spells per turn, allowing him a mixture of control and direct damage. We particularly love the Sneaky Miasma, which lets you reposition nearby monsters for a sudden charge into an unprepared enemy flank. So what I will say about this is we now know he's a 2-cast wizard. I'm saying sad times, because there was no way he was going to be a 1-cast wizard for how much they beat him up as being like the best shaman. So we knew that he was going to be a minimum of 2. But really, I feel like this guy should have been a 3-cast wizard. And you may go like, well, you know, how come he can be a 3-cast wizard? And then like, I think, what, Alariel? Is she a 3-cast? And she's literally a god. So, you know, there's a difference there. But, you know, this guy is the the voice of Mork, not the mouth of Mork, the voice of Mork, and deserves to be able to cast 3 spells in my opinion. But to be honest, the main thing I care about is his unbinding of spells by seeing how that's the main thing for him. But it kind of looks like he'll be unbinding 2 enemy spells per turn. And that's quite useful information to know about this guy. Yeah, so because he can only cast 2, I'm hoping he gets pluses to cast. But, you know, we'll see with that. But anyway, so let's see what this Sneaky Miasma does. So this shaman waves his staff as if he were stirring an invisible cauldron, causing a thick miasma to obscure one of the Kruleboyz' war beasts from view. A few moments of eerie silence follow before the monster reveals itself once more, usually at the flank of the enemy force. So I just want to say, like, how cool and terrifying does that sound? If you're going through a swamp, you know, like the swamp creature in all these films and TV shows and stuff just disappears or like goes under the water. It's like some sort of shark film, and then suddenly just, you know, surprises and goes bang and gets you. So I really like that, and looking at the monsters, you know, from the Kruleboyz, that really works out well. But let's see what it actually does, shall we? So Sneaky Miasma is a spell that has a casting value of 6 and a range of 18 inches. If successfully cast, pick 1 for any Kruleboyz monster within range and is visible to the caster. That monster can make a normal move. Okay, so that's alright. It sounds quite straightforward. You know, we're used to all this, like, you know, you miscast a spell, D3 mortal wounds and loads of more wounds and damage stuff going around. What always sounds exciting, and this is like, you get some movement. Doesn't really sound that exciting. Movement is how you win this game. So Age of Sigmar is a game all about movement, and being able to move outside of the movement phase is huge, especially when it's not like pick an enemy unit and then pick one of your units, and then that unit is like enraged with blood like lust, and it has to move towards the enemy unit. This is just a free move, so you can move it onto an objective. You could move it away from the enemy. There's loads you could do here rather than how it just states it's to surprise the enemy. And of course you could use it to charge, and like you could use it for what's his name, Gobsprakk as well, because obviously that vulture presumably is a monster. So yeah, that's pretty good, and the Kruleboyz aren't going to be short of any monsters by the looks of things. So yeah, I like that spell, and a low casting value of that as well. So the next one we've got is the Black Pit. So on the other hand, is brilliant for murdering heavy infantry. The bigger they are, the harder they'll fall. So where I was saying with this one, you know, when it's about movement, doesn't sound quite as exciting as like just killing things. Here's your killing one. So the Law of the Swamp. So the Black Pit. The shaman taps his staff on the ground, forking out from that spot and surging towards a nearby foe. The earth turns into a nauseum quagmire that sucks victims below its surface to their doom. That's great. Just really descriptive, this, isn't it? So I'm always going to read the lore now on these things when I can, because I think that sounds really cool. But the Black Pit. So it has casting value of 7, so high casting value, and has a range of 12 inches. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within range and it's visible to the caster. Roll a dice for each model in that unit for each 6, and for each other roll that is equal or greater than that unit's save characteristic, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So just to break this down for you in case, you know, a bit of a wordy one, this spell, isn't it? So that doesn't mean you roll 2 dice, because it says, and for each other roll. You just roll 1 dice for each one of those models in that unit. And essentially, if your enemy has got really bad saves, let's say their saves is R6, this spell is not very good at all. If their save is a 5, what that means is if they've got an enemy unit of, let's say, 9 models, 5 up save, then that means that on average you'll do 3 mortal wounds to them. But when you start getting to things like their save characteristic is a 3+ or something, and they've got, let's say, a 3+, probably not going to have so many models in that unit. But let's say it's got, let's just say it's got 9, because it makes maths easier, right? So then that would be 6 mortal wounds, I believe, to that unit. So, you know, that could be 6 of them dead. Again, obviously, you know, depending on the situation, everything else. But because it says save characteristic, I can't remember off the top of my head if, like, all out defensive, it's +1 to your save roll, +1 to your save characteristic. Because it doesn't say unmodified, I think it's +1. Oh, I honestly can't remember, guys. So if it's +1 to your save characteristic, everything like Mystic Shield, all out defense, this obviously becomes a hell of a lot better. But as we don't know that, and to be honest, I like defense, you're just using the issue and combat phase anyway, so it won't come up too much. But things like Mystic Shield, then that makes it even better. So yeah, that is a very useful spell to have like in your utility, in case you do go against like Stormcast, as an example, who are going to have really good saves. Or Idenith Deepkin, that would be great against like Ishin Guard, I'd love that. And it says, as well as an opening up all these terrifying tactical possibilities, with magic, Gobsprakk is fairly handy in close combat. He carries a Bogbark staff with a range of 3 inches that deals D3 damage with each bonk. It's probably only going to have 2 attacks. Like, that's probably not going to be good. And that to its Killer Beast. And that to Killer Beaks. His Corpse-Rippa Vulture, 14-inch flying movement, and Gobsprakk can rocket around the battlefield, causing foul smell and mayhem. And that's how I kind of imagine this guy being, just like a fast-moving support piece, going where he needs to. In combat, it'll probably be all right, but you know, he's not. Okay, yeah. Here we have a picture. Here's him here, and here's, you know, Gordrak, if you like, or just a normal Mega Boss and Maw Crusher, as most people would take that. This is going to be not nearly anywhere combat sort of like centered as this guy. You're going to want to keep this guy. He might even have only like a 5-up save. So you want to just bear that in mind. I think this is going to be a tactical guy. You don't just want to charge him in. The killer boss though, that you can put on top of one of these, because this is a 2 options you got in this kit. So make him, or you make the killer boss on top. It's probably going to be pretty good in combat. But again, as always, it depends on points, doesn't it? Because I could be saying, like, oh, I really like this guy, I really like that spell, I can see how this all works, like I've been doing this video. And then they go, yeah, he's 600 points. And it's like, right, well, he's not that good. So again, as everything when we speculate, it's all down to the points at the end of the day. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from him. And there's more to... Okay, there's not much more. But it says, beyond Gobsprakk and his nasty swamp magics, the upcoming Uruk War Clans battle tome is stuffed with filthy greenskin shenanigans, new War Scrolls, battle plans, spells, you name it. As luck would have it, the new book is up for pre-order later this month, so keep an eye out on the Warhammer community for further grimy glimpses and to discover that all-important release date. So the next thing it says, are tapeworm squigs painful? You tell us. Stormcast Eternals hate this one weird trick, and that's the whole making the tapeworm squigs into the stomach. I mean, it's just interesting to know the lore of squigs and further fungus in Age of Sigmar, that you can get tapeworm versions of squigs, which is interesting. I think that should be made into like a swarm unit, like you would be able to have on the battlefield, but I don't think we really see those things much anymore. But anyway, so that is that for Gobsprakk. So I'm eventually learning his name. And yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Again, depends on points, but I think this guy's turn out right. The only disappointing thing is he casts 2 spells a turn, which means he'll only unbind 2 spells a turn. Whereas before we could be like, oh, he could be like this really cool thing where he just does so many more wounds to enemy wizards if he could unbind like 3 spells or maybe even 4 spells. Again, probably was like my fault for having too high hopes, but it would have been really, really cool to see. But with that aside, guys, let me know what you think about this guy in the comments down below. It's always good to hear your thoughts on this. Are you excited? Are you a bit let down? Again, we haven't seen his full War Scroll, so just bear that in mind, and we have not seen the points as well. But yeah, so with that, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Are you happy? Are you disappointed? Are you really just a Stormcast player and you're watching this video and hope we're going to be talking about dragons like we have in the last few videos? I'm sure Games Workshop will do a further article about those dragons and I will cover it. But with that aside, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to smash the like button, the subscribe button, the bell notification, as those buttons massively help out the channel. They're really easy to do, can be done in less than a second, and it's free. So by liking the video, it shows to me that you enjoy this sort of content with the Kruleboyz and covering news as well. And it helps the channel out on YouTube, because it basically tells YouTube that people enjoy this video. So YouTube will hopefully recommend it to people who don't know about this channel. And then by subscribing to this channel, it's how the channel grows at the end of the day. Really does help that. And then by pressing that bell notification, it means you'll never miss a future one of my videos if you are enjoying them. And if you would like to support the channel a step further, I have got a Patreon and a YouTube membership. So what does that mean? If you click the join button, the subscribe button, you'll be able to become a member here in Asian Nagash, where you can give anything from just £1 a month to the channel, or there is a link to my Patreon at the top of the description down below, where you can give anything from just $1 a month. And why do I ask this? Basically, YouTubers always say if it was a business, You'll lose money every month with the amount of like time, effort, and resources and money as well I put into this channel. It's quite hard to keep up. So by being one of these amazing people that you can see on the screen now, by supporting the channel by even just like £1 or $1 a month, it goes straight towards keeping this channel going. So if you'd like to become an amazing person, click the join button or the link to the Patreon down below, like these people already have. So my biggest support is going to be, of course, my Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragons. That's going to be Filq. So thank you so much, mate, for your continued support of that tier. It's absolutely incredible and really, really, really generous of you. So thank you so much. And then my Morgasts, who are Bleed Red, Mortarch of The Necropolis, and Edward P. Thank you so much for your continued support, as being a Morgast is a very generous amount you're supporting the channel as well, so thank you so much. And then my vampires, I always say, the core that keeps Age of Nagash going is going to be Mir, Ben C, Rouse321, David A, Dragoonity, Ronni H, Darren L, SpareBear, Christopher H, Northdrop, Nathan F, Andrew G, Tom W, Wiggy Whooty, Anthony R, and Nathan S. Thank you all so much for helping keep Age of Nagash going, because again, that's a very nice amount you're supporting the channel with, so thank you so much. And then my Necromancers, who is Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Cranky Wombat, Tom M, Christopher C, Krista F, James S, Thomas B, Steve T, James T, Patrick F, JJ R, Christopher, Sception, and Shaun S. Thank you so much for allowing me to keep this up and try and help get as many people in Age of Sigmar as possible and keep their Age of Sigmar journey going. And would just like to say a special thank you to Shaun S, who is a brand new Necromancer on YouTube membership. So thank you so much for deciding to help support the channel. You won't regret it, and it really is the reason why I can keep this up. If I didn't have anyone supporting me, wouldn't be doing this as frankly as that. So thank you so much for that. And anyone else would like to become one of these amazing people, like say, join button, or the link to my Patreon down below. But if you can't do that, no worries at all, guys. I completely understand. But if you did enjoy the video, all I ask you like, subscribe, and bell notification. Press those 3 buttons, and that's an amazing job just on its own. But above anything else, guys, I'm really glad you came and checked out this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Remember, until next time, to stay safe, stay hygienic, make sure you wear a mask, and for God's sake, wash your hands. I know we're talking about stinky swamp, Kruleboyz and everything here, but if you wash your hands, you will roll a 10 plus in your binary rolls, and you will make enemy wizards explode. And why wouldn't you want to see that? And then above everything else, guys, remember until next time that Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.